We're in between the first and the second leg of the IBO. I think this would have been year 2013. And in between the first and the second leg, I actually received a bow from Tim Gillingham. And I went to Archer Spot, got the bow set up, got a peak put in it. Tim had me measure my wingspan. And he actually set the draw length to my wingspan. And that's a whole new formula and video for a new day. But Tim sent me this bow. I got it set up. I remember shooting it and being like, this is weird. Like, my shoulder's not scrunched, actually nice and level. And what's so funny is that for all these years of changing draw length, shortening it, lengthening it, everything, and really trying, I'm kind of almost back to the same draw length as I was dang near a decade ago. What's so funny is after almost a decade, I'm back to the same draw length now. And, you know, going into this tournament, my confidence was right up chair. I mean, it was as high as it could get. And Tim actually invited me to come on Wednesday morning. He said, hey, I'm flying in on Wednesday morning. If you want to be there, meet me, and we'll get this bow set up on Wednesday so that we can practice all day Thursday and then, of course, shoot Friday, Saturday. So, me and my mom jump in the truck at about 7, 8, I don't know what it was. It was dark out in the evening, and we took off to Erie, Pennsylvania. And my mom drove all night long. I actually slept during the night so that I would at least be somewhat rejuvenated when we got there. It was an absolute cluster to get there. I could do a whole video series on me and my mother traveling to tournaments the first couple of years of me shooting and some of the disasters that we got into, and you're actually going to probably hear about a few of them. But we get to this tournament, Tim's there, and at daylight we are working on this bow. And I learned something. I learned a super valuable lesson at this tournament. You can make a bow press out of an Allen wrench. Great, Tim, yeah. Way to teach people how to do things the right way. But I had some gold tip 30X arrows that Cooper and Benny wanted me to buy, and I had them. They were like, I remember they was 390 grains, and this bow that Tim gave me was a Hoyt Vantage Elite Plus. Hoyt Vantage Elite Plus, maybe. It's 31 3/4 of draw length, and Tim hooked me up with some bee stingers out of the booth. We got it weighted right. We got the bow bear shaft tuned. I mean, had this joker railing. We got a sight tape put on the bow, and by noon that morning, we was ready to go. And Tim was dead set on getting me and teaching me how to judge yardage. And I remember when we practiced until dark that day about looking at the size of the animal and understanding targets and how important it is to have targets. And to be honest, I don't like talking about it. I'm just going to say TP. That's all I'm going to say. TP. If you get it, you don't. If you don't, you don't. But I just had a lot of excitement in that tournament, and I actually judged really well, and I had the equipment at that time. So going through that tournament, I just didn't execute very well. I actually executed very poorly, which drove me to a whole new level of drive in between that second and third leg. And it was at that point where it was put up or shut up. I was in practicing harder than I ever would imagine. There was days that I was shooting 300, 400, 500 arrows in a day, and I would even leave my bow at home, go to the club, pick up targets, take them down in the woods, judge them all day long, without, okay, get this, judge them all day long, and I didn't own a rangefinder. But I did have a tape measure. So that's how I double check my yardage. And like, that brings up some emotion in me, because like, I wanted it so bad that no matter what it took, I was going to make it happen. So me out there with a 30-foot tape measure and a target on my back, and put it in the woods and looked at it from every different angle. I done it for hours and hours and hours and hours, and wanted to do it when it got dark. So I would come home and shoot my bow in the dark, or I would go inside at the club and shoot at the targets, because I wasn't supposed to be shooting the targets. So I didn't. I never did. I just judged them. And I judged a lot. And just to point out a few of the things that was stopping me in my shot, is I actually was starting out with my hand too tight. So I was drawing back with my hand really tight. When I came into anchor, I couldn't actually physically roll my hand, which actually put me into shooting a button, which pretty much I shot my whole career. I just here recently started shooting a hinge again, because I've changed up my form a little bit. I really like that nice fluid motion, and it's working really well for me, so that's actually what I'm currently shooting. But I couldn't shoot the button because I had no control on the button. I actually had too much control. So once getting my hand a little bit better and getting my consistency a little bit better, I rolled into the third leg. And I know it doesn't mean much. It doesn't mean much at all. But I went from 110 down to about 50 down. And at this tournament, I was actually, I think it was 2 up. I was 2 up on the final target that day. It's a 48-yard antelope. And in between the second, third leg, I also changed arrows. I went to some 22 series arrows, about 355 grains, and that actually brought me over 320 foot a second, which speed you needed in IBO. So I'm on this last target, and it's an antelope, and it was 48 yards. I knew the number. I drew back. I had all kinds of confidence. I wasn't nervous because I didn't even know what I was doing. And shot broke, and it hit a tree limb and skipped past the target, and I'm like, what in the world just happened? And I missed that target. Which put me 8 down for the day. I was like crazy happy, like 8 down. And I did end up shooting, I think, 14 down the second day. Let me do some math real quick. I suck at math. Yeah, I'm going to go with 14. Ended up being 22 down total for the weekend, which was huge, you know. 14 down, that just continues to show improvement. And so I knew what I was doing at the time was going to consistently make me better and better and better. And in between that tournament, I started learning about my equipment and tuning my equipment. And up to this point, I still hadn't fletched an arrow, but I learned about sight leveling. And I know Tim had leveled that sight that he had sent me, but something had moved on it, and I was actually having some issues. Ended up getting that sight re-leveled by watching some of Tim Gillingham's videos and getting a Hamskea third axis easy leveler from Hamskea. I really like that product, still use it to this day. And I adjusted my D. I remember changing my D loop around a bunch and working on shot execution and blank belling. And my shot is consistently getting better and better and better and better and better. And my yardage, I'm coming home and I'm remembering every single target. And that's something about, in the last 8 years, I can almost go to every single tournament I've ever went to, and I can remember most of the targets. So that's what I was seeing. I'm like, I remember all these targets, so why don't I just practice what I've already saw? So when I walk up to a target, I'll go, okay, I know what that looks like at 40 yards because I saw it at 40 yards, and it was in the bright that time, and this is in the bright this time, so 40 is 40. If it was in the dark at 47 or whatever, you know, I was putting 2 and 2 together, and I was just jumping leaps and bounds throughout this year and throughout the start of this, and I would have never imagined. I remember the peace that I had and the happiness that I had, and I just felt wanted, you know. I felt like I had a purpose. So I'm gonna cut this off, and IBO Worlds is next. And IBO Worlds was the moment when I realized that I did have a purpose and that I needed to absolutely put everything I had into this tournament. So the preparation was really high, and you guys are going to have to wait until next time for another episode of Fake It Till You Make It. Thank you. I don't want to stop you guys right there, but I also want to ask you guys that if you know anybody that wants to see this series or get into this, this is going to get a lot more intense. It's going to get very emotional for me. And it hopefully gets emotional and very uplifting and very positive to you. So if you can, guys, like this video, share it on your social media, and give me a subscribe. Right now, my goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers, and I will see what happens after that. May make some different YouTube channels, and maybe absolutely put all of my eggs into one basket and try to pursue per se a different outlook on everything going around in this world right now, and finding a way to make money no matter what. So remember, guys, God loves you and God bless, and you have a good day.